Outside the Lines is presented by State Farm, providing insurance and financial services. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Two things are true in the National Football League. There is a premium placed on size, especially down in the trenches. Players have never been bigger. And there's a fascination with statistics. Well, this number is provocative. Earlier this year, the New England Journal of Medicine published a study showing that among a random sampling of 300 NFL players, the prevalence of sleep apnea was nearly 5 times that of the general population. This sleep disorder can lead to other health problems, and Andrea Kramer now shows us how some NFL players are dealing with it.
You just gotta lay here like this, load a cord up like this.
This is what former NFL defensive lineman Nate Hobgood-Chittick must wear each night. If he doesn't, he won't sleep at all, and neither will his wife. He needs this mask and a sense of humor.
It's not the most sexy thing to be sleeping in.
Not sexy at all. It's like Top Gun without...
It's like your goose back there.
But not really, because you're not in a cool plane. You're laying in bed.
You're laying in bed.
Hooked up to a machine.
With your wife.
For Pro Bowl defensive tackle Chris Jenkins, lack of sleep is no laughing matter. It impacted his reputation and his career.
I had missed a couple of meetings because I had overslept and slept through my alarm clocks, and Seifert and the coaches that were here at that time actually thought that I was on some type of drug, so they gave me a drug test, and when that came out negative, then they said that I might have a sleeping disorder, so they had me do a sleep study, and then they found out I had sleep apnea.
Sleep apnea is the most common of the 88 different sleep disorders that exist. During an apneic episode, the muscles in the back of the throat relax and the throat is sucked closed as the individual breathes in during sleep. This causes a lack of oxygen to the body. After struggling to breathe for as long as a minute, the person will gasp and resume breathing.
And the brain says to the body, we're dying, you better wake up. And they wake up momentarily. The tone comes back in the muscles and opens the airway again.
This man who suffers from sleep apnea stopped breathing for 30 seconds. The loud noise signals a reopening of his airway and a disruption of sleep. The New York Giants once had a player who had 441 such awakenings during the night and was a walking zombie during the day. The Jets' John Abraham can relate to that feeling.
I would go to bed early and wake up in the morning still feeling like I just, went to sleep. I would be walking around, eyes red. People like, "Where did you go out last night?" Or I was like, "No, I just didn't sleep well."
I felt like I didn't go to sleep at all sometimes. I would wake up and feel like crap, and I couldn't do anything about it.
And the tough thing about playing the NFL is everybody's always tired. So what's to make one athlete say, well, maybe I have sleep apnea, I'm always tired? Well, everybody in the locker room's tired.
When we're talking about sleep-deprived athletes, what happens to their performance on the field?
We suspect that, since these are linemen, a great many of the missed snap counts, the false starts, are because they can't concentrate.
When you're playing, as I did in the NFL, your focus is now. Tell me what you can do for my performance now. If there's a long-term risk, I'll deal with it then. So what we try to do in dealing with the players is to show them quantitatively, if you deal with your sleep disorder, it can help your performance now with your career today.
Vyto Kab played tight end in the NFL for 7 years. In 1994, he co-founded Sleep Tech, which manages 22 sleep centers throughout the northeastern United States. Kab had first-hand experience with sleep apnea during his playing days.
I got roomed up with a 300-pound defensive lineman, and he snored like a train. So the only way I could study my playbook and get any kind of sleep that night was to go into the bathtub with some pillows and spend the night there. That's an extreme example, but that was my first experience with sleep apnea and snoring.
People laugh about people who snore. It's not funny. It's a very good indicator that they're in serious trouble.
2 prongs on the top go up into your nose, just barely into your nose.
The only way to properly diagnose this condition is through an overnight sleep study, such as this one being performed on Giants offensive tackle Chris Bober. Kab says that his company has tested more than 110 players over the last 6 years.
It was definitely a weird experience. I felt like a science experiment because I had about 30-some different odd wires hanging off me.
So this is repetitive throughout the night. So right there, this is where this patient wakes up.
Since sleep apnea is typically a condition that afflicts people who are middle-aged and overweight, there's little doubt that the increased size of these young, fit athletes contributes to their problem.
I was 225 pounds when I went to college. I left, I was 285. I had to gain the weight to play my position, defensive line. So, I mean, you can't ignore that correlation. I mean, all the big fatties, we're getting, we're testing positive for the sleep apnea.
And there are more players susceptible than ever before. Consider this. In 1986, there were 10 300-pounders in the NFL. Today, there are approximately 340. As the size of the players has grown, so have the problems with sleep apnea. According to a study published in the New England Journal of Medicine, 1/3 of all offensive and defensive linemen in the league could have some form of the sleep disorder.
As you get bigger, your neck gets thicker, your muscles get thicker, the fat gets thicker, and as all that gets thicker, it puts more pressure on your throat, your nasal passages and everything, and it kind of constricts them.
Why not just lose the weight?
Be out of a job. I mean, I gotta keep this weight on to perform and do what I have to do.
The one thing that would help these people is losing weight, and it's the one thing they can't do.
What about the future for linemen who may have untreated sleep apnea? How might it affect them in the long run?
One of the reasons that the league was interested in this and that we were interested in it is because of their short life expectancies. Obviously, something is happening to these people so that they die in their 50s.
If these players don't deal with their sleep apnea can lead to hypertension, which can lead to heart attack and stroke. Well, Andrea, this is a dental device, and basically what it does is it moves the lower jaw forward along with the tongue and opens up the airway.
Players have 3 treatment options to deal with their apnea. For mild cases, there's a dental device. Hopgood Chittick suffers from a more severe case and must sleep with a CPAP machine, which stands for continuous positive air pressure.
It's kind of like a reverse vacuum cleaner. It pulls in air from the room and shoots it through this hose to the mask, which I then put around my nose, and it forces air from the room to go down my nose. It's odd, Here I just lay down.
He was tossing and turning all the time. He was waking up, gasping for air. He was snoring at a decibel that nobody should be witness to. And it's night and day. It's definitely night and day. The mask is amazing.
Abraham, who says he had a 90% blockage of his airway due to swollen tonsils and adenoids, underwent corrective surgery in May. Jenkins went under the knife a month later.
They cut out the back of my tongue, they cut out my tonsils, removed my adenoids. So basically they just gutted me. But after that, once I started healing, I felt so much better because I would sleep, and actually when I woke up, I would feel energized. I didn't feel tired.
Like, everybody knew I was a well-conditioned athlete, but I couldn't catch my breath like I want to sometimes. A lot of times I have to come out for a couple of plays, catch my breath, then go back in. Now it seems like it's just a whole different life for me now. And I don't know how long my career would have lasted if I wouldn't have had the adenoids taken out.
And just because you can't see it, and just because you don't really hear about it, because it's not an ACL tear or something like that, doesn't mean that it isn't just as bad. And I mean, as players start to get bigger and bigger, they're stronger, they're faster, they got more weight on their bodies, it's going to become a bigger problem in a lot of people, and it's something that does need to be, seriously taken.
Andrea Kramer reporting. Players have also been given a scientific study to measure their reaction times while suffering from apnea, and these finely honed professional athletes scored worse than sleep-deprived civilians. Also, another consideration for players afflicted with apnea, the recovery time from injuries. Experts say the hormones promoting tissue healing are released by the body during the hours of deep sleep.